Hi, Sean.
Hello there.
How are
Good
you?
to see you.
Good to
Good.
see you too. Thanks so much for helping arrange this. We really appreciate it.
No, glad to do so. I've been in budget consultations all day today, so
Oh,
I feel like a
wow.
little screened out, but looking forward to the presentation. We have a number of people from the public signed up, so
Oh, okay.
this
Great.
this room, insofar as it's a room, should fill up shortly.
Yeah, that's so
And
interesting because we were going to also do a town hall with Rita Joseph. I guess we could still do it too, just in case we miss people. Um, but that's great. Thank you for getting the word out.
There we go.
sure.
Hi.
Hello
Oh,
there.
hi. How are
Good. How are
you?
you? It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
You too, Sean.
Same.
This is the first time I have used WebEx on this work computer, evidently. So it's
Uh,
me asking a lot of questions to make sure I really want to be here.
I was just saying to Deborah that I've been on this screen all day because we had budget consultations
Oh,
today.
I saw that you said that's just a
What
lot.
are budget consultations? I feel like I should know this,
Oh,
but
it's I actually kind of like them, but it's so district managers from each borough meet with their what do we have? Like 18 agencies over the course of 3 days. So
mhm.
today we had DOB, SBS, ACS, DYCD, NYCHA. Actually, that got postponed in DIFTA. And then Thursday we'll have HRA, DHS, EDC. We have Park sort of at the end because somebody is away, so that's going to be later on. But and then we have an agenda of like what we've asked for in terms of budget priorities for the FY27 budget.
Oh,
And
wow.
for parks, we're going to advocate for a lot more forestry.
Oh, that's great.
And then we're
Are
trying
these
to
meetings are with whom? Like, who are the meetings with?
usually like top line, the budget people at the agency, a lot
Oh,
of assistant
wow.
commissioners, sometimes
I
they're
had no
intergov people.
idea. I had no idea
It's
this process happens. Every community board does this?
Yeah, every year
Oh.
it's in the New York City Charter.
Oh,
Um,
wow. How did I
and
not know this?
it used
That's
to be
great.
more intense. We used to do it in person and for the agencies like parks that have physical assets in our specific communities, we would meet one-on-one. So we'd meet with parks, we'd meet with NYPD, DSNY one-on-one in this school down on Third Avenue. But now it's all virtual.
Right. Got it. Interesting. So
It
interesting. Yeah, we're
is.
just starting to think through our budget needs for FY27 too, what we
Well,
want to
please share
advocate
with me
for.
because any input is welcome input. And one of the things we're doing, I know it's pie in the sky. Hi, Svetlana, is we're trying to talk about a paradigm shift in capitalizing parks budgets and the fact that all of the capital is really in the hands of the elected officials and parks doesn't have its
Hmm.
own capital and
Yes.
how
Yes,
sort of like
exactly.
wayward that is. It makes it more expensive because every time you move a dollar in the city budget, loses a few cents and it makes parks, I mean, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but it makes parks improvements contingent upon elected officials
Yeah.
instead of contingent upon priority and need and condition and all of that.
I know.
So,
It's really like they have to be like hat in hand asking for money. It's so unfortunate.
yep. And the 1% for parks is something we'll get behind and all of that.
Yeah, I think
So
there's hope with a Mom Domney administration, maybe. We'll get
yeah,
there, but we'll see what happens. Hello
yeah, I could
there.
see public dollars for public space being being a little more easy to grasp, but anyway, that's what we do.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't we need to be careful about coming off as though we're endorsing a candidate, just for the record?
We're
Oh,
not
I'm so
endorsing.
sorry. I wasn't talking about today's presentation. I'm not on the community board, so I guess whatever I say is moot. Just kidding.
We haven't also started the meeting yet, right?
I don't know. Is it being recorded? I'll stop talking though. Hey there, Matt.
Hello.
I'm Matt.
Everyone hear me
Um,
okay?
Yes,
yeah,
Matt.
just for
Okay.
you guys to know. So Svetlana Regalina, I don't know, Sean, if you've met Svetlana before, but she is our director of landscape architecture. And Matt is one of our wonderful resident engineers, and he's going to be the person on the ground day in, day out, supervising the construction of this massive public works project. So
That sounds super exciting. Svetlana, haven't we? I feel like we have we not met before?
It's possible we've met. I've been at the Alliance for 10 years,
Yeah.
in the, working with Christian Zimmerman as a landscape architect. So it's possible.
yeah,
Nice to
Sean
see
and
you.
Christian are tight.
I love Christian.
Actually, Sean, we haven't publicly mentioned this yet, and I'm realizing we need to do it, but Christian is stepping down from his position this fall.
Who's letting that happen?
I know. It is incredibly sad. I know he's at over 35 years. I think, yeah, he's like, I guess, ready for his next adventure.
That's
Yeah, it's
too
really
bad,
like
but I
it's
know
going to be a
everything is
huge loss for the park.
Oh,
But I
but you're
think,
still in good
he's done
hands.
very good hands. And he
Yeah.
cares so much about the park. I know Svetlana could speak to this, but I think it's important for him to feel like he has a good kind of handoff on things, right, Svet?
Yeah, and he'll be helping us through the transition. He'll be here through December, and he lives so close to the park. So I think we can ask him for help at any point if we really need it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a labor of love. I can't imagine him just walking away and having nothing to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No, hopefully him and his wife will travel more. And, they're actually going on a nice trip to, where are they going again, Svetlana, next month?
I think they're going back to Italy, actually.
Right.
They love that whole region.
Yes. Yes.
We're joined by the other co-chair of this committee is Deborah Valentin.
Oh, hi. Nice to meet you.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you too.
And like I said, we had a number of people sign up, and it's well, I'll defer to the co-chairs as to when you want to get started, but we're streaming and recording. So whenever you want to begin after the clock strikes 6:30, you can go for it. And I know people jump in as we go.
Great.
That sounds good. We are supposed to be joined by the director of the bike unit at DOT. I emailed it earlier. His name is Sean.
Sean Macias.
Not forgetting the last name. Yeah,
Macias.
exactly. So
Yeah.
hopefully he will be here too.
And I think Diana Soriano from DOT was going to join as well.
Yes.
Be right back.
Yeah, not a problem. Svetlana and Matt, Christopher is with the Parks Committee, and he's the official representative on the Prospect Park Community Committee. So he's been coming to a lot of our community committee meetings. In fact, Christopher, I think, did you actually see this presentation when we did it?
I did, and
it
was so good that I'm really excited to see it one more time
It'll
with the
be good to
community. I
see-
think
exactly. It'll be good to see. We did one for CB9, and the community always has concerns because it's a massive project. We'll be taking things offline and putting things back online, and people are concerned about parking and sort of their daily comings and goings on that strip. But I think overall, at the end of the day, people will be excited about the final product. So
we have a very engaged and active community, so I think we can trust there'll be some good questions to make sure perspectives are seen.
Yes, I agree.
My experience on the few CB9 meetings I've attended is that they are perhaps less open to change, especially when it comes to anything involving traffic
Yes.
for bicycles, than CB14. I just.
Oh, good. That's good to hear. Because I definitely would say CB9 was. We also just had a strange meeting. We were invited to present at a meeting where there was going to be a presentation on some changes DOT is doing at schools. And so there were a lot of people in the audience that didn't actually live anywhere probably near Ocean Avenue, but had some preset notions about cyclists in general. So I think we got a little bit of the brunt of that as well. Just people,
And
maybe not being that happy that, the city is becoming more bike friendly in general too,
Hey,
yeah,
I'm just gonna pause it there because we're at time. It's 6:31, so maybe we can start the meeting and pick that back up as we get started.
Sure. Did you want us to start, or you're going to say some official opening words, or?
Sure, I think we can just welcome everybody. So, good evening. Welcome to the CB14 Community Environment, Cultural Affairs, and Economic Development Committee meeting. I am co-chair Christopher Bromson, and Deborah.
And I'm Deborah Valentine. Welcome, everyone.
Great. All right, so tonight we are joined by our friends from the Prospect Park Alliance who are going to talk us through the proposed plan that they've kind of been workshopping around and chatting about, the restoration of Ocean Avenue and Parkside Avenue, the park perimeter. So to make sure we have enough time, we'll just hand it right over to you, Deborah. You can introduce your team and we'll dive in.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm Deborah Kirshner. I'm the Vice President for External Relations at Prospect Park Alliance. We're the nonprofit, as many of you know, who operate Prospect Park in partnership with the city. I'm delighted to have with me today our Director of Landscape Architecture, Svetlana Regalina, and our resident engineer, Matthew Hall. And as Christopher said, we are here today to present the construction plans for the restoration of the Ocean Avenue perimeter to the park, which also includes the entrance at Parkside and about a block and a half to 2 blocks down Parkside Avenue. This project has been very long in coming. It actually went through the public review process for the design pre-pandemic. The reason that the project has taken a bit to get to the construction phase is twofold. One is that once the design went through, there was an additional scope of work that was added to the project by the DOT, which was not so much design, but infrastructure. So both in terms of electrical infrastructure to support signals and lighting, as well as some changes in governmental legislation, which required additional environmental reviews. And then in terms of procurement, it was a little bit of a lengthier procurement process just because of certain types of permitting that needed to be accessed during it. But we're really excited to be at this moment and bringing this project to light. And I am going to turn it over to my colleague, Matthew, who's going to present the plans for the construction, how it's going to be phased and how we're going to execute it.
Hello, everyone. Can we see my screen okay?
looks good.
Yes.
Okay, great. So like you just heard, my name is Matthew Hall. I am the construction supervisor for Prospect Park Alliance, and I will be performing all of the resident engineer's duties for this project that I'm about to show you. We will first take a look at the context here for the project. We are going to be working on Ocean Avenue and Parkside Avenue, right on the perimeter of Prospect Park. And this area is going to be adding a bike lane to Ocean Avenue. So let's go all the way back in time to the very beginning of the design phase for this project. Ocean Avenue sidewalks were identified as an area where a capital project could occur to improve them. And early in that process, DOT stepped in and said we should study the possibility of a bike lane here. Because this fills this gap in our bicycle network. And you can see here the rest of that network and the context that this project exists within. And so brief overview of what got us here. So all the way back in 2016 was that time that Ocean Avenue was identified as a place that could see some capital investment with a new project. And early on in that process was the analysis and then some studies about potential bike lane here. So from that point, around 2018, things solidified into the design we're about to talk about. That's when we started going to community presentations and getting approvals from public agencies for this new project, as well as keeping up with the early analysis and inventory studies that were done, like the tree inventory. Then in 2019, we have finished getting all of our approvals. It's time to go into construction documentation and get this design ready for construction. Now, during that time, that was when some things were added to the scope. Now that we're doing this capital project here, it's shaping up to be a bike lane. We should make sure that we redo all of the signals and the lighting and keep them as fresh and functional as they can possibly be. And it was during this time as well that New York City implemented a new program through the Department of Environmental Protection, NYC DEP, which controls stormwater pollution on sites, construction sites of a certain size. And so that triggered new regulations for this project that required going back to the drawing board a bit and adding some new pollution protections to our project and making sure that it's within the budget to pay the contractor to do all of these things. And so from that point on, 2022 onwards, the project has been designed. It has been approved by all of the community boards as well as the public agencies. And now it's time to get a contractor on board to do this work. Of course, things had been in design since 2016 up to 2022. So it took some time for everything to come together in terms of bidding and making sure that the contractor who agrees to this job can carry it out completely and faithfully and within their budget as well. And so finally, all of that came to a close in 2025 when the contractor Pioneer Asphalt and Paving was selected. They will be working with me starting in October to construct this project over the next 12 months. And so here is a little look at what the existing versus the proposed conditions will look like on Ocean Avenue. Currently on Ocean Avenue, we have two 10-foot travel lanes, a 4-foot buffer, and two 13-foot rush hour lanes. On the east side of the street is a 5-foot amenity strip and a 10-foot sidewalk. And then on the west side is a 10-foot amenity strip, a 10-foot sidewalk, and another 10-foot amenity strip next to the curb. Taking a look down at the proposed, we are going to be shrinking that 4-foot buffer down to the standard 6 to 8 inch buffer, and then two 11-foot travel lanes down the middle of the road with the rush hour lanes at the outer edges of the road going down to 10 feet. Everything on the east side, the 5-foot amenity strip and the 10-foot sidewalk is staying completely the same over there. However, on the west side, we're maintaining our 10-foot sidewalk, we're maintaining our 10-foot amenity strip on the side, and going down to 8 feet next to the curb. This opens up space for the new 2-way bike lane with a 3-foot curb protecting the cyclists as well as separating them from the pedestrians. This bike lane will be at the sidewalk grade. So the step down for the curb will be on the other side of the cyclists, and cyclists will be at the level of pedestrians. So here's a little section rendering of this new condition. You can see that we are adding in the bike lane as well as we're adding in some changing around the benches and adding benches as well as adding some new lighting as well. If you'll notice, there are tall trees in the existing condition and then a short tree here in the middle for the proposed condition. Now, because we are going to be moving the curb at the road, this is going to pose a huge threat to the trees that are currently on Ocean Avenue. As part of this design, we have had about 30 trees that have been selected for a design removal. This design, if achieved, will kill them. However, the other 40 trees that are being removed are conditional removals in the sense that professional arborists have evaluated them and determined that their condition is so poor that they pose a threat to the safety of pedestrians and cars. So that's the situation with tree removals on Ocean Avenue. Here we have a little rendering of the before and after, we're going to have the slightly reduced cobble strip, and it will be now grass with trees, and then separate that grass with trees strip will separate the pedestrians and the cyclists. And so now that we've covered Ocean Avenue, let's take a little look at what we're going to be doing at Parkside Avenue. Now down here, there is no major change at all to the current uses of the road. We are simply going to be going in and restoring this current cobble strip you see that's between pedestrians and Prospect Park. We're going to be removing the cobble and instead putting in grass, trees, and benches and lighting. Now, if you'll have ever walked on Parkside Avenue in the evening, you'll notice there's not a ton of pedestrian lighting, and most of the lighting is actually from the traffic lights. So we'll be restoring that nice, pleasant streetscape in the evening at Parkside Avenue. Just here's a little rendering in the dusk of what it's going to look like on Parkside after we're done. Here you can see the grass replacing the cobblestones, as well as the new benches and the new pedestrian lighting. And so that brings us to the very last part of this project, which will be reconfiguring the Parkside and Ocean Avenue plaza. The entrance to the park at Parkside and Ocean is being completely redone to restore a clear cycling access, as well as safe pedestrian areas around the new Shirley Chisholm monument that will be installed at this plaza. Currently, this is a vehicle entrance for cars into Prospect Park. After this is done, no commercial or residential vehicles will be permitted to enter in this entrance. However, emergency vehicles will still have access to Prospect Park via this entrance. And so lastly, we will talk a little bit about the construction and what it's going to take. So construction is going to be in phases. Each phase is approximately 800 feet. And when we set up the fence, we are going to take one lane of car travel and then a large portion of the sidewalk, and then we will have a pedestrian detour around our work area. This will all be done to the highest standards of safety and will be reviewed by the DOT as well as myself and the contractor for the absolute safest condition for pedestrians, cars, and cyclists as we go through construction. You'll notice that phases on Ocean Avenue are numbered and phases on Parkside Avenue are lettered. That's because one phase on Ocean Avenue can occur at the same time as one phase on Parkside Avenue. So we will have the contractor working in 800 feet on Ocean Avenue and 800 feet on Parkside Avenue. Once one phase is complete, the contractor will pack everything up after it's been approved by myself, the Department of Transit, and the Parks Department. And then we will move on to the next phase to continue construction. The planned duration of this project is 12 months, and construction will begin in October of this year. Oh, and the very last thing, in phase 5, the B16 bus stop that is southbound on Ocean Avenue, that will need to be temporarily relocated. So it'll either move up the street just a bit or down the street just a bit. The DOT will help me figure out exactly where is safest and best for traffic flow to place that. And then it will run that way until work in phase 5 is complete. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Matt. Any questions on this part for Matt? Okay. If someone is indicating they have a question, I can't see it. So you could.
I can help
you
you out
can-
here.
Thank
In
you.
order that the hands went up, Carl, then Deborah, then Nina, and then Martin Bergstrom.
Great. Okay. Did you say Carl was
Okay,
first?
thanks.
Yeah, go
Great.
Carl.
Go ahead, Carl.
Sure. So, folks, good evening. Can people hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So, good evening, and Matthew, thank you for the presentation. And so, I have two questions. The first one is, could you go to the slide that showed the proposed work to the park entrance on Parkside?
Absolutely. So this slide, right?
One more slide over, I believe. Yes, this slide. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, so the first question I had is just specifically in regards to the pedestrian ramps. I just wanted to confirm that this is a Prospect Park Alliance project, and then the thing I need to confirm in my head is that, so is it the Prospect Park Alliance who is responsible for hiring the contractor or contractors who will do this work, or is it that Prospect Park Alliance is working in conjunction with Parks and DOT who are responsible for hiring the contractors to execute the work, or none of the above?
It's the latter. So
Okay.
Prospect Park has won the construction supervision
Mhm.
responsibilities, but we didn't do the bidding process.
Okay, got you. So thank you for that, because my question then is just in regards to the pedestrian ramps, my question then is, whose responsibility is it just to confirm that the pedestrian ramps that will be installed will meet the ADA standards for accessibility?
That will be my responsibility, and then
Okay.
just so that everyone can have as many opportunities to catch issues, DOT will also have the opportunity to review all of those things, and they had that they did that in design as well.
Okay, great. So thank you very much for answering that question. And then the second question I have is it's a repeat one, just because I had also raised this question when we had the meeting in like August a couple weeks ago. It's the same one, just in terms of coordinating with MTA in addition to DOT, just because of the Brooklyn bus redesign. And so I know, like you said in that slide on the B16 work for Ocean Ave, that's going to be moved to a temporary location. And so my ask for you is, has the Prospect Park Alliance and DOT talked with MTA to confirm that the work that is planned, in which that B16 stop will be moved, what is the impact, if any, to the current Brooklyn bus redesign plans as it concerns the B16 bus route?
Matt,
think
you might, oh, sorry, Matt, you might want to confirm it's only being moved
Yeah.
temporarily for a couple of months. It's not a permanent move.
And this is
correct?
very, very standard in construction projects.
Yeah, although point taken that we can do as much as we can to coordinate with DOT regarding their future work and make sure that anything that they may be planning to do, if it was going to be during the phase of our construction and it would make sense, then we can make sure that we follow up with them regarding that.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
My question is in regards to the detours. Do you know about when that detour would start and when would it
Yes.
end?
So the contractor plans to mobilize on or about October 6th. So that means that from that point on, they will be taking up around 800 feet of Ocean Avenue and around 800 feet of Parkside Avenue, just in one lane and on the sidewalk. That will be the condition for Ocean Avenue for 12 months. During construction, around 800 feet will be taken up just in different places, one at a time. There are only going to be two phases on Parkside Avenue. Both phases are only planned to last, around 2 months. So, if all goes according to plan, there will be a shorter time where we are taking up space on Parkside than there will be on Ocean Avenue.
Okay. And another question. I'm concerned about the bike lanes. And my concern is, you said it's going to be a protected bike lane. But in the past, we have noticed that a lot of kids, when they get off school buses trying to go they've been hurt. And what are you guys doing to try to prevent stuff like that?
Matt, I would say we're being joined by the DOT. Actually, the head of the bike unit, Sean Macias, is here, so maybe he can answer that.
Yeah, I'm here. Good question. Thanks for that. There is a design here, at the bus stop that accommodates peds and bikes as they're getting off. And then other than that, the two spaces are separate. So there's the bike lane along the edge of the roadway with a 3-foot buffer from the roadway itself. And then there's if you want to go to the cross section, Matt, and then there's the
certainly.
planted space that's with trees, and then there's the pet space. So here there'll be two separate spaces for peds and bikes to travel, and then at the bus stop there's a design that alerts everybody to what's going on there.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Okay, great. And then Nina, I think you were next.
Okay, so I guess I'm trying to get with my little tiny phone screen a better visual picture. Currently, if one is traveling north to south on Ocean Avenue, so on the side that's against the park, there's no bike lane, and once one gets to where Parkside and Ocean Avenue meet, the cars on the far right are pushing over into that lane, basically effectively squeezing the bicycles right against the curb or making us fear for our lives when they go to make that turn from Ocean Avenue onto Parkside. The other thing is that the entry, if one is on Parkside in the current bike lane and trying to enter the park, there's also a certain amount of competition with pedestrians who are trying to cross and so forth. So I guess I'm just trying to get some clarification on how that particular junction is going to be reconfigured in order to eliminate these conflicts.
I could take that one too, Matt.
Go ahead, yeah.
So as bikes, it's not clear here because it's kind of under some of the ramp and markings. We're trying to illustrate like what the routing is here, but there will be markings in the bike lane, rumble strips approaching the corners. So the rumble strips, if you've seen them around the city, they're on Parkside now on most of our PBLs. Alert cyclists that they're entering, something different, usually intersection or pet space is this, kind of rumbles the handlebars. The markings here there'll be a stop bar accompanied by signage that says bikes must stop here. And then as they move through the corner space there are going to be signage and what we call bike stamps, which indicate to cyclists that they must yield to pets in this space. So there's a confluence of two lanes here. We understand there's a lot of competition for peds and bikes, and everybody wants to be in this space. So we've done our best to add the markings and the signage that alerts everybody, what the scenario is as they make this transition.
Has there been any consideration for traffic lights that actually have like the red and green bicycle, that lights up versus the pedestrian, crossing signal? Because I see that.
That's a really good question.
I don't know if any place in Brooklyn that's using it, but I see it a lot in Manhattan. So.
Right. I mean, great question and great observation. Usually we use those bike signals to indicate when vehicles and bikes go in separate movements. When it's pedestrians and cyclists, we don't use the signalization. We depend more on markings and signage. So along Prospect Park West, I'm sure everyone's familiar with it. There's been a lot of improvements to upgrade the markings and indications of what's going on there.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Nina, and thanks, Sean. All right, Martin, to you.
Appreciate this presentation. My question is actually pretty closely related to Nina's, and that's, does this plaza redesign also include a redesign of the traffic signaling right here at Ocean and Parkside Avenue? When I had asked DOT about that a few months ago, they said they were going to wait because we were doing this plaza redesign.
In terms of timing, I'd have to get back to the board. I know that this design preserves all the movements, right? Getting through these spaces, intersections can be difficult sometimes as a motorist. Part of the idea for having bikes kind of move through the sidewalk space was to preserve, and this is what we heard during the outreach process, some of the vehicle movements that are there today. But if the question is more specifically about like what the new timing, like signal timing will be, I'd have to get back to you. I can send that to the board.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
happy to
it would
share
be
that.
great. It would be great if you could follow up on that. I'm especially thinking just with these bike lane improvements, ideally we would see a higher volume of bikes probably entering from south on Ocean Avenue, where there's the bike lane to this bike lane network, and the northbound left turn lane from Ocean Avenue. It's a very acute turn, and there's not a dedicated green left turn signal. So what you end up seeing is cars having to turn on the left and cutting into a pedestrian and bike cross time, or at the same time as pedestrians and bikes are crossing. So especially like if we expect higher bike volume from this change, we might want to look into even just like a dedicated green left turn signal for the northbound lane.
Totally happy to look into that. Matt, I don't know if you have that, but maybe we can talk afterwards and figure out between the two of us where we can pull that. But great question. Thanks.
If I can just jump in too, because Sean Campbell DM from CB14, I did meet with Commissioner Bray and Dante Arnwine, the district manager in CB9, a few months ago. And so the light timing was being reviewed, and I don't know if it was in the context of this project. And I know one of the challenges is the sort of upstream and downstream timing for especially over at the where Coney Island Avenue comes into the Jody Circle over there. So Sean, just so you're not starting from scratch, maybe check in on where that light timing inquiry is at.
Thanks for the lead. Yeah, I'll follow up with Keith.
Great. Thanks for that question, Martin. All right, Eric, you're next.
Hello. Let's see. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the presentation. I just wanted to say that I super support this redesign. I think protected bike lanes in particular are super important, and currently I find it very dangerous over there. I bike through that area multiple times a week, and between double parked cars and illegally parked cars that are standing there during the rush hour zone time, it's just incredibly dangerous. So that this is really important for the neighborhood. I think it will encourage more people to bike and leave their cars at home, or get more exercise, visit the park more. So I can't thank everyone enough for all the great work on this redesign. And I would just say, push ahead. Let's get it done. 9 years is enough time, and I hope to enjoy it soon. So thank you, and onward.
Great. Thank you for that, Eric. And Liz, on to you.
Hi, thank you so much for this presentation. I do want to echo what Erica just said, that this is a really badly needed project, and I think it will help get more access to people and going to the park, especially from our area. As I know Sean will tell everyone all the time, we don't have enough park access in CB14, so we're really glad to see things that help improve that. And I'm also just got to say, I'm really excited to not have to bike around the entire Park Hill whenever I go somewhere in the PLG area, because there's no legal way to go south in this little stretch. So this will save me a lot of time and effort. But one thing I just wanted to flag, really supportive of this project. I don't think it affects this particular project as it is, but people have mentioned the intersection of Ocean and Parkside as being very difficult. And I do want to flag that is known to be very difficult. It's one of DOT's Vision Zero priority corridors, or not a corridor, it's a priority intersection. And I just wanted to note that the markings that you had on that slide, you don't need to bring it back up unless it's helpful for other people, where, cyclists are taking the left turn lane and going into the park. That really hasn't been my experience, either when I'm cycling or when I'm watching other people cycle. It's really hard to cross that intersection. It's really, really hard. And most of the time I see people either riding kind of along the pedestrian crossings, or I usually walk my bike in that area across. And, I know that there's this really large channelization on Ocean Avenue in the middle, just a block south of this. There isn't as much on this particular block with the turn space, but I was wondering, just something to kind of chew on, hopefully at DOT, to see if there's a way to make it a much safer connection. And I will say that also those turn bumpers are always, they get replaced every so often at that intersection. Like there's lots of wide vehicle turns that are very dangerous and make it harder for people to get across, either walking or biking to get to the park. And so just would love to see, something that could maybe complement this design to make the street safer for all users as they approach the park from this direction as well. Don't know if there's anything you can say to talk about that, if there's a possibility or whatnot. I know that's kind of outside of the scope, but really excited for this and just hope we can keep building on that.
Thank you, Liz.
I'll just respond quickly. Sorry. Yeah, always looking for ways to improve. Thank you for flagging that. We're talking about this, the project on Ocean today, but you're right, like getting there is just important. So we'll continue to take a look at Ocean, make sure getting there is just as enjoyable as being there. Thanks.
Very nice. All right, we have Lewis and then Jeffrey.
Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. This is exciting. I also am really, really excited for a protected bike lane around Prospect Park because I currently find it very scary biking along Ocean and Parkside. I just have a question. Does this plan include Prospect Park Southwest? And if not, is there a plan to include that as well?
I could take that one. This does not include Prospect Park Southwest. The bike unit at DOT is currently working on that. We hope to bring something public soon. But this project is separate from that corridor.
Thank you. Yeah, the Prospect Park Southwest is also a really horrible one for biking, so that would be really, really exciting if we could include that. Thank you.
Yeah, after this corridor is complete, that will be the last remaining piece. So we're working on it. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Lewis. All right, Jeffrey.
Hi, just a lot of people have said the things I wanted to say very well. Looking forward to this. Looking forward to this as a connection to sort of get back southbound, given that the park is one way. As a person who both bikes a regular, non-powered bike and an e-bike, I'm looking forward to this as a way to sort of get some of the higher speed commute traffic from people who want to, go somewhere in a hurry, out of the park and sort of make sure there's no space for everyone, and also for, getting around the loop the wrong way around the loop. And looking forward to getting this done on Prospect Park Southwest and sort of connecting all the parts. I'm wondering if you've thought about adding any sort of physical protection between the raised bike lane and the car lane, just to discourage people from, either, driving up onto the curb when they park, or, walking through it, or something similar to the flex posts that are on the south side at Parkside as you're approaching the intersection. It looks like there probably is some space. I don't know if that's in the plan, but I'm curious if you've thought about this.
I can take that one, Matt, if you'd like.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Do you mind showing the cross section again?
Yes,
that
for
3-foot section is planted, and the typical for a brand new curb reveal is 7 inches. So at this time, there is no plan to add, say, like delineators or something vertical there, because we'll have a very a new high curb. I think sometimes we see people abusing the curb and kind of rolling up onto it in locations where the curb is an inch or two, or has kind of been ground down over the years. Here we'll have a fresh 7 inches, so anyone propped up there, it will be precarious. It doesn't mean people won't do it, but at this point in time, we're not entertaining anything vertical there. I think the preference is to have some plantings and some greenery rather than more plastic and concrete.
That seems plenty vertical, honestly, at this point. So looking forward to it. Thank you so much for all your work on this.
Got it.
Great. Martin also said in the chat that it's miserable to turn left as a driver. So I think that's also an important point, and hopefully everything gets improved. Great.
Christopher, you might be able to see it in this screenshot, but Musa Hasoon has a hand up as well.
Very good. Musa, hi.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yep, we got you.
All right, so thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to show my support for this project. I was very excited when you pulled up the slides on it. It solves a particular problem in my life regularly, so I'm more than enthusiastically here to support it. Whenever I am coming down south, but coming back home, I have to decide basically, do I ride on the sidewalk, which is illegal? Do I ride counterflow in the park, which is permitted or not legal? Or do I ride on the street down Ocean, and it sucks basically. So I'm excited that this is grade separated too. If only because when I do ride down South Ocean Avenue, it's always very precarious. You try to take advantage of the big parking gap or whatever they got going on. But it doesn't help, especially when you're doing it at night. So this will help solve for that. I do also take the B16, and so the construction will be annoying, admittedly, but whatever you can do to speed that up within the confines of like moral, ethical, legal operations, that'd be great. Just to like reduce the intrusion on everyone's lives and potential impact on service and stuff like that. But I think it's a great project, and I'm very happy to see it. I also think once the actual Parkside entrance gets implemented, I know it's a while from now, but I think we should probably continue to get some more data to make sure the flow makes sense, and that may not need more warning signs or something to make sure pedestrians are okay, to make sure cyclists are actually following through. I know some built-in things will help with that, but just always useful to kind of keep the feedback loop open afterwards. Thank you very much.
It's a great point, Musa. Thank you. All right. And Chandler, you have our last question on this topic.
I also just wanted to sign on and express my support and enthusiasm for this plan. Putting aside the safety for cyclists, I think it really is just currently Parkside and Ocean is an intersection that doesn't really serve anyone, drivers, pedestrians, or cyclists very well. And I'm really excited to see this step forward to make it safer for people in every mode.
Great. Thank you. All right. Well,
thank you all very much for your questions. We'll do our best to execute this project as quickly and faithfully as we can. Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah, I'll also say we're going to put out signage and flyers, but we're going to have a page on our website dedicated to the project that will have construction updates. As Matt said, this is a massive public works undertaking. The city has set a really ambitious goal of completing all the construction in a year. So I think we're going to do our best to meet that goal, but we will keep the community informed as the construction progresses.
Thanks, Deborah. Yeah, we'll look forward to staying in touch about this project and everything else.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us here tonight.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for a great presentation, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Deborah.
Yeah.
Okay, enjoy the rest
you.
of your meeting, and thank you again for having us.
You too. Bye-bye. Sean is Tyler here?
Yes, he is.
Yep.
Okay, so Tyler, you want to go ahead and get started?
Tyler, you're muted still.
Nope.
Okay, is it working a little bit better now?
Yes.
You're all
Always has to
set.
be a little bit of a technical issue. Could never get off easy. I'm Tyler Reynolds. I'm the Community Construction Liaison for GKOH 15-03. We have a significantly smaller section of Community Board 14. I know the majority of Phase 1 within Community Board 14. We have a very small corner. But
before I was here, I was a community liaison in Manhattan Beach and Community Board 15 for their water main project. I did sidewalks in various locations in Brooklyn, Staten Island before that, and then I was with Linda Rosenthal on her staff in Manhattan, and I was with Alan Maisel in South Brooklyn when he was an assemblyman and a councilman. So most of my career has been in Brooklyn. I'm happy to be back in Brooklyn working again. I don't like being in Manhattan very much. So I'm very happy to be on the project. Okay, let me
And
see
Tyler,
if
I
I can
don't
make
know if everybody knows it by the letter number combination. So will you talk, it's the permeable pavement project. So if you would just kind of give the overview of what that is.
Yeah, exactly. We're installing precast porous concrete panels, which in a very overly simplified way is a city-owned dry well. It's a way for stormwater to enter into the ground and to be held rather than going into our sewer treatment system. I have a whole slideshow. I'm going to get to it. I promise. Let me see if I can make technology work. Yay. It wants to work with me. Okay. This is the official name of the contract. I will give it a nickname when I'm inspired to do so. Nothing has rolled off the tongue yet. We'll go over the project locations, our timelines, kind of what I do in terms of like outreach and notifications, and we'll leave some time for questions. The project is necessary because our storm sewer system, the treatment system, I should say more specifically, cannot handle the amount of water that we are sending to it. This is the reason why during heavy rainstorms, people get sewer backups. This is the reason why after very heavy rainstorm, beaches get closed down because the water levels are too unsafe to allow people to swim in. So the whole point of the project is so we don't have to build another sewage treatment plant. We're going to take the rainwater and give it an alternative means of egress before entering into our wastewater treatment system. The benefits to the people are going to be hopefully a decrease in the amount of sewer backups we see in major rainstorms. This is going to protect our critical infrastructure. The cost of doing green infrastructure projects like that is substantially less than the cost of building a new sewer treatment factory. And I know curb contracts are rare in New York City. Everyone loves a curb contract. So anywhere where we're installing a 4-foot segment of permeable concrete, we will also be putting in a new curb. This is the entire project overview with the community boards overlaid. Like I said, we have a very little chunk. We have all this. We're doing 7.6 miles, 40,000 linear feet, all throughout the entire project. So, well, we're starting in phase 1. You don't get to deal with us for about a year. More specifically about where we'll be in Community Board 14. Usually what we really care about. The majority of our work is pertaining to Foster Avenue, between Coney Island and Ocean Parkway. We are stopping about a block and a half away from where the firehouse is. So we should have absolutely no impact on the firehouse itself. We're not blocking their driveway. There will be no equipment stored anywhere near the firehouse. I will work with them to make sure they are happy with where we store equipment and where we're keeping machinery. That way they have full access that they need to respond to any emergency vehicles. We are doing 2 sides of Ocean Parkway on the service road section, not in the main road. We'll do one side of the street at a time for work. During this segment, we will have to close down that section of the service road and remove parking. For all other work locations, we will be able to keep a traffic lane open on the streets. Typical work schedule for construction in New York City, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Mondays to Friday. That's an 11-hour workday for the crew. No one wants to work that many hours a day. I don't want to work that many hours a day. We will be finishing work closer to 3 o'clock every day. We have the options to work Saturdays if we need to in the contract. My hope is that we will not be working any Saturdays. The Saturdays are for an emergency if we need to get out of a crucial area and like by school over the summer, and we want to work on a Saturday just so we can finish it before school reopens, or if we're doing work near a school around a holiday, we want to make sure that we finish that work. And if we need to take a Saturday for that, we will have to take a Saturday for that so we don't interfere with kids going to school. But under normal circumstances, we will not be working on Saturdays. The total cost of the project is $76.5 million. We should finish it up in the fall of 2029. Each block is going to take about 15 working days. That is 3 weeks if we're working Monday to Friday. We will be doing the curb lines and the first flag of cement. That includes, if there's a driveway there, we will be redoing the cement for the driveways as well. We'll restore parking on one side of the block at the end of each workday, the side of the block where we're installing the concrete panels. That side of the street will have to stay closed. We will restore driveway access. We'll steel plate for driveway access so people will be able to pull into their driveway that night. But regular street parking will be taken away on the side of the street we're working on. That is how to track me down. We have an office on Ocean Parkway. You can email me. You can call my office phone. You can call my cell phone. My cell phone is really bad, and I have a lot of issues hearing people on it. So the office is actually probably the best bet if you want to reach me and have a productive conversation, because I just can't hear that well on the cell phone. It's not because I'm that old. I'm blaming the cell phone. These are the typical advisories. You've gone through phase one. I think you're used to a lot of the stuff. You'll see 72-hour notices before we go into an area, and then 24 hours notice to confirm all that stuff. The community board will be hearing from me long before then. I would like to give you guys at least a month's notice before we transition into a new community board. That is just generally what things will look like. No parking signs, driveway restriction notices. Those are the two big impacts on the project. We're not touching any like critical infrastructure to the gas lines or the electrical or your water service. All of that will be active during the construction process. So for the project I mostly do, this is very minimally impactful on the neighborhood. Other things you'll see from me is the weekly construction bulletin, our project information. Our project information card. It just gives you a little bit of information about the project and me and how to contact me if you have any questions. And if you have any questions, I will take them.
Thank you for that, Tyler. It's a great update. Any couple questions?
Question? Go ahead.
I didn't see if it was Liz or
Go ahead, Liz. I'll defer to
Liz,
my
go
board
ahead.
members.
Great. Thanks, Liz.
That's great. A little bit because your question, you might be part of the answer to my question as well. So I was relooking a little bit at the survey data we did from flooding um, with our wonderful partners, and saw that it looks like this area from some of this is nearby some of it, but doesn't cross Ocean Parkway and get closer to I noticed that they're in the same area, kind of around Foster. There's a big highlight of a lot of flooding reported in our district, and it seems to go kind of all the way to the Q in that area where the Q line is. And so I'm just wondering, both if Sean can, let me know if that is, if I'm reading that correctly from our flooding reports, or maybe fill in a little more information on that. But also if there's any additional plans for permeable concrete to go into any of these other like hot spot flooding areas. I know that we've gotten kind of the northernest part of the district in a previous project for permeable paving, which hasn't fully gone in yet, but is slated to. Just figured it'd be good to just ask if that's around. And I don't know if Sean, if you want to add a little more color to that, because you have heard more of the community complaints in the area as well.
Tyler, you might have a more complete answer than I do, but I'll start with the fact that this isn't in response to CB14 flooding complaints. This is a tributary project, and CB14 happens to be on the map of this project leans into CB12 and other parts of Brooklyn. And we do have a request for this to be expanded in the district for district-specific flooding locations. But Tyler, I can't really speak to like the mapping of the tributary and why this project is where it is.
So, to be completely honest, neither can I. I know that it's phase 3 of 4. Stage 2 is still active, which was more South Borough Park and Bensonhurst. That is part of a larger city plan, which is a multi-billion-dollar project to install permeable ground throughout the entire city. That includes, they just finished a brand new playground in Queens where the entire playground is built with permeable ground. So that is the city's answer to the larger flooding problem.
And I'll follow up, Liz. I'll get because it's an interesting answer. I just don't have enough of a grasp on it to articulate it. But it has to do with, I think, where the outflow direction, like what's outflowing, and that might have more to do with like Diker and Bay Ridge and stuff like that. So we'll get that information, and maybe the co-chairs can report it out at the board meeting when we have the full report on this. And my questions were more, and we can speak a little bit offline too, Tyler, but it has to do with, you mentioned making sure that FDNY is comfortable with where your equipment goes. You might know the 70 police precinct is also nearby. So their parking habits and their need to access Foster will also be something that we'll deal with until we tell them it means their locker room will stop flooding, and then maybe they'll be cooler about it. And then the towing, when towing occurs, that'll just be towing within the neighborhood, right? It's not going to the tow pound or anywhere far away. Correct me if I'm wrong, because that'll be a big deal.
You are correct on everything. We're not towing to a lot. It'll be just towed somewhere in the area. The 70 will get a copy of where all the cars are towed to.
Okay, maybe the 66 should as well, because it's on the border of the 66 and 70. All right, cool. Then on the details, we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions for Tyler?
I know I'm not as exciting as bike lanes.
Very informative, though. I think you left no questions to be asked. Okay, great. Well, thank you for that update. Very exciting.
Thank you.
Along. Thrilled. Right. Cool. Is there any other business that we should address while we're together this evening?
None from me.
Okay. Deborah?
None from me.
None from us. All right. Well, me either. Cool. Well, thanks everybody. This was
Yeah,
great.
great turnout. And appreciate everybody being here tonight.
Yeah.
Long Monday.
Very good conversation. All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Your presentation. Great job.
Good night, everyone. Oh,
Have a great evening.
can you remind everyone that the precinct's community meeting is this Wednesday?
I would, except I think you just did.
Don't forget that precinct meeting Wednesday. Thank
This
you,
Wednesday
Florencia.
at 7:30 p.m. at 175 Lawrence. It's at Adapt Community Network across the street from the precinct. And then you can go take a walk at where the permeable pavement is going to be installed.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Go earlier. Go earlier. All right. Good night, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
everyone.
Have a
Good
great
night.
evening.
Meeting.
See you soon.